Hey, my name is Joe Snardy. I run Fastest Cash Home Buyers and InvestorsFunnel.org. And in this video today, I'm going to be doing a case study breakdown of my first $50,000 in assignment fees that I personally closed and generated. So I'll be going over the marketing, I'll be going over the sales and the acquisition process and the contracts. I'll be going over the Dispo process and when we close escrow. And then at the end, I'll go over some lessons and improvements that we could have made. And these are all deals that were personally closed by me on the phone. You can hear all of these sales calls in the program from start to finish, from hello, every single word I say to these sellers, to getting the contract signed and taking them through the Dispo process and getting those deals closed. All right. It's not an employee or anybody else on the phone. This is me converting and using the system to produce income for my business. All right. So let's get into it. All right. So the first one right here is going to be Norman. Okay, so how we got these leads, at the time we were running Google PPC ads. So we run direct ads, direct search ads straight to our landing page. And then from there, the seller would submit their information. And then we would get the notification for the seller leads. And then from there, I would hop on those calls also. I have my team, but I would also hop on those calls and close sellers. All right, and this is exactly what the ads look like. So this is the keywords that we were targeting. Distressed, right? We're targeting competitors. We buy houses, right? Keywords like that. And then show you guys also some of the campaigns that we had for fixer-uppers, cash for houses. So we're obviously looking for distressed properties. So the keywords that a homeowner would type into Google when they're looking to sell their houses fast, that's the keywords that we were targeting, right? And these are all examples of what the Google PPC ads look like. And actually, let me show you guys really quick. If you don't know, there's ad managers, not ad managers, ad libraries for every single ad platform on the internet. So all of this is public information. A lot of people don't know this, but you can actually go ahead and look up the ads of everybody, of all of your competitors and see what they're running. All right. So this is how we set up the ads right here. We were setting up search ads, PPC, pay-per-click search ads. That's how we set it up in the ads manager right here. Search network, not display network for these PPC ads, and the keywords that we were targeting and everything else like that. So that's how we set it up in the ads manager. And let me actually show you guys. Ads manager. All right, and this is what the page looked like for you to be able to see all the PPC ads that other investors are running. See, sell my house, cash. All right. So you can see, let's go to more results. Let's see, sell my house. All right. So you see, this is a real estate company right here, Sell My House Fast LLC. And you could go on the ads manager, wait for it to load up. Okay. And see exactly what kind of ads they're running. So you can see everything. So that's a pro tip right there. An insight on how you could get basically a cheat code on the ads that are being ran, and you could see which ads are working in the marketplace right now. All right. But that's how we generated the leads. So at the time we were running all Google PPC ads, and the seller came in, the lead notification came in, and I took this call right here. All right. So the acquisition process, let me just give you a quick overview of the sales process that I took all of my sellers through. And it's still the same sales process that we're using. Over the years, I've made some adjustments just with the market sophistication and everything going on in the marketplace. When we've added novations and other exit strategies to our funnel, but this is exactly what the acquisition process looks like. So we start with the intro. We introduce ourselves to the seller, get their name, we confirm the address. Then we move on to pain and motivation. We want to make sure that we're speaking to homeowners that actually have a reason for selling their houses. We're trying to buy properties at a discount. So if the seller has no reason to sell their property at a discount, then it's not going to be a good deal, right? Once we know they have motivation, figure out their timeline and things of that nature, then we'll get a gauge on where their head is at on price. Sometimes you'll hear ridiculous numbers. I have calls posted on my YouTube channel where you could hear sellers asking for a crazy amount. But if they have motivation, you can still take them through that sales process and get them to agree to a lower number that actually makes sense, right? And you want to get the occupancy. Is this a tenant property? Is this a owner occupied property? Is this a vacant property? You want to know all that information and ask probing questions based on the specific situation that the seller has. Then you want to educate the homeowner on the process as well as everything that's going to be happening from now until you get the contract signed and everything afterwards. You want to make sure that the seller understands. A confused mind always says no. So you want to make sure that you're explaining the whole process throughout the sales call. And a lot of these people that we're speaking to, they've only bought 1, 2, or 3 homes in their entire lifetime. And, we're doing this and, on an everyday basis. I'm about to show you here three deals that I bought in 1 month. So want to make sure that we're taking good care of these sellers. We're spending that time to explain and educate them and taking them through the sales process to get those conversions. All right. Then we want to ask questions about the condition and the repairs, and we have our repair charts and all of the tools and information you need. We have it in the program, but if not, you want to make sure you definitely have a repair chart or repair calculators to be able to determine the price that you can pay for these properties, right? Then you want to tell stories about other people that you've helped to put them at ease and let them know that they'll be well taken care of. Then I like to go to consequences. So what happens if the seller don't sell? What would happen? Sometimes it's not much that would happen if the seller does not sell. And sometimes the seller will lose their house if they're in pre-foreclosure, or if the seller has 2 mortgages, which is going to be one of the leads that I'm going to be showing you. The consequence would be, paying two mortgages or 2 different bills for properties and, paying for a house that you're not even staying in or no longer want. That would be the consequence of a situation like that. All right. And then you want to move on to making offers. I first like to make range offers or trial offers, soft offers to my sellers before I make a concrete offer, just to kind of see where their head is at and how much they're willing to negotiate, what their bottom line is. Then from there, I like to get commitments on the process, not the number. Get a commitment that if I can come to an agreement on price together, if we can come to an agreement on price, a price that makes sense for you and a price that makes sense for me, and we can agree on that. Are you ready to move forward and get this done? So you want to get the commitment on their willingness to move forward, not necessarily on the exact price amount or the exact dollar amount. And then from there, you're going to use third party and you're going to use holds to negotiate. I like to have my underwriters, go back and forth. If you have somebody that, could help you look over the numbers while you're while you're on the phone talking to sellers, that always helps. So you can get accurate numbers and be able to negotiate back and forth with the seller. And then once you get an agreement, then you're going to send the contract, walk through everything with the seller on the phone and get it signed on the phone right there. And if not, then we want to schedule a follow-up and we want to set an appointment while we're on the call with the seller and be able to contact them at a later date to see if they're willing to move forward with us on that price right there. So that's basically a quick overview of what my sales process looks like. And it's a combination of many different people's sales tactics. It's NEPQ in there. It's a bunch of sales processes put together, right? But it's mainly based on NEPQ, just psychological selling and selling to the human brain, to the human mind, right? And real quick, if you want my team and I to build this entire acquisition system for you, from the marketing engine that generates these inbound leads to the landing page and the funnel to the CRM, and we install our entire sales and follow-up system to close these deals and our entire Dispo system to be able to sell the deals you sign, plus one-on-one daily support, and this is all done for you. So click the first link in the description to book a call. But for now, let's get back to the video and how we make decisions. And this is the process that, we implement to be able to get those deals done. All right. All right. So for the first deal that I want to go over with you guys is going to be for Norman. So let me zoom in here. So this property right here, these are all inbound leads coming from PPC. So the seller came into my system, and I called them and I spoke to them and basically found their motivation, took them through my sales process to get that done. So the paying for this property right here, Norman had 2 separate houses and 2 separate mortgages that he was paying. And he was first living in that first house. He transitioned to the second house, and he no longer wanted to pay for the house that he was no longer staying in. So he gave us a call and reached out to us to purchase his property all cash and get that done fast. His timeline to get this done was as soon as possible. He wanted to close escrow in the next 3 to 4 weeks. And the condition of the property was, it was dated. It was a 3-bedroom, 3-bath house. And he came in asking for $180,000. And I spoke to the seller, solved their problem, and got the property under contract. And in this program, you could hear every single call with all of our sellers. So from the first call that we took to the last call that we took, you could hear every single word that I spoke to the seller to get them to move forward with us and sign the contract for us to get that done for them. All right. And I'm actually going to play audio of the seller signing the contract so you can hear these are real deals, real sellers. Actually, get that pulled up for you. All right.
Yeah, I work for Target now. I used to be a manager at Walmart, and then I was a store manager for Family Dollar for a while. Then I was at J.C. Penney as the HR manager. Got sick of the management, so now I'm just working and receiving and just more or less helping unload the truck, put up stock, and then I go home.
Got it. Okay.
All right. I guess you got it.
Let me see. You sent that over. That's what you said.
It said submit. I submitted everything.
Okay, let me see right here. Let me make sure that I got it here on my end so that I could get them moving forward with this. Here, let me just refresh my page really quick, okay? Confirm that you have the contract signed. All right. Okay. Yep. Henrico, I got it. All right, Eddie. I got it here. So, like I said, the next step for us right now, again, just to. All right. So, you can see that I confirmed that I received the signed contract from the seller, and I'm breaking down the next steps of the process to transition them to Dispo, so that we can get pictures of the property, start marketing the house, and getting everything closed. All right. So after the contract was signed, and here you can actually see the contract right here that I signed with them, and you can see them sign the signature right there. And this was the underwriting. So the ARV for the property was $240. The commissions and closing costs is about 6%. And this is what the breakdown looks like right here for our MAO formula that we use to determine the prices for the properties. All right. And at the time, and still right now, we're using PropStream along with a couple of different other softwares. I also use InvestorBase, as you can see here, to be able to determine the prices that the investors are paying in that area. But let me actually throw this address in here. 125 Grove Ave. All right, 20. All right, here we go. So this is the property right here. All right. So this is the area. The values have gone up since then, which is typical with real estate. Values continue to rise every year. All right, so this is what the numbers look like in the area, and the values look like they've jumped up to around the high 200s to the low 300s from what it looks like right now. It used to be in the mid 200s when I locked this up, but it's risen to the high 200s, 280, 285, 290 is what it looks like ARV is around right now. All right. So that's how we basically determine the ARV, the after repaired value, or the price that the property would be worth after it's all repaired and everything looks nice and beautiful. All right. And then we take away our profits for the end buyer, the hard money, the repair costs, and then that'll be our sell at price. And then we take away our assignment fee that we're looking to make on the property. And that's how we reach our purchase price right there on the house. All right. All right. And that's basically our acquisition process. So we call the seller, we take them through a sales process, and we make an offer, we negotiate, we send them the contract, and then we get it signed on the call with them. All right. And like I said, you'll be able to hear this audio in the program. And then for the Dispo process, what we did is we got pictures of the property. Let me actually show you. We use this company called HomeJab. They actually take really professional photos. They can be a little on the expensive side, but it's definitely worth it with the quality of the photos, and the higher the quality of your photos during this Dispo process, the greater the likelihood you'll get sight unseen offers, and the greater the likelihood you'll be able to sell the property for top dollar. All right. So this is what it looks like right here for the different packages. And this is one of my sellers that I actually set this up with earlier this year, or earlier last year, or summer last year, 2025. This was a deal that we did in Florida. All right. And then this is what it looks like right here. So they'll send you an email with the property address, the date and the time that the photographer will go out. And then they'll also send you the information for the photographer, so you can reach out to them and let them know what you need. All right. And then after you get the pictures, you're going to package the property, something like this, so you could market the property out to the buyers. And we use different softwares like Investor Base, Investor Lift, AI to blast out the deals and generate interest in our properties. And we use our buyer script and we use our buyer script and a couple of other tools to be able to have those quality conversations with cash buyers or cash buyer agents, to be able to qualify them, vet them, generate offers, get walkthroughs of the property, and ultimately be able to sell the house and assign the property to make a profit and close escrow. All right. So that's what the back end looks like for us to get pictures of the property and market the house. Let me actually show you guys the results of this deal right here. Okay. So as you can see right here, we got the property under contract. So for this deal right here, we actually got a reduction from the seller of $5,000, and the new purchase price became $125,000. And the purchase price that we lock it up for as wholesalers, that original agreement, is what shows up on public records when everything gets recorded by the title company. All right. So that $125,000 we got it for, we marketed this property for $168,000. And let me actually see what the property, just out of curiosity, I want to see what the property says it's worth on Investor Base right now. All right, so copy the address right here. Here it is. Put it in earlier. Okay. And with Investor Base, it actually gives you all of the phone numbers for the flippers and the landlords in the area. And if you're part of my program or part of my team, you get a deal under contract, you just let me know what you need and I'll provide the numbers for you so you could reach out to buyers, or if you need help disposing the properties, just let me know and we could definitely help you with that too. But as you can see, that's around the same numbers. That 168 to 164 is around the same numbers that cash buyers were purchasing these properties back then too. So more or less the same values that they're looking to purchase them at, even though the ARV has gone up. But we marketed it around 168, at 168 for this property right here. And we got an offer from a buyer that we took, and we got a walkthrough of the house, and we took an offer for 150. So our assignment fee at the close of escrow ended up being $25,000 profit on this deal right here. All right. And you could see I'm being fully transparent about everything about this deal. So if you see the contract date and when it was locked up, and then you see the contract sold and when everything was recorded and escrow was closed by the title company, it took about 1 month from the contract being signed to us getting paid on that property right there. So that's the cash conversion cycle, is about 30 days for us to get those done using this system right here. All right. And that'll be the breakdown right there for the first deal of that 50K month. And right there. All right, so let's go to the second deal right here. So the second property, or the second deal that we got, is with the seller David. So for this particular house right there, it was a vacant rental property. So he was a tired landlord that had the house rented to a tenant, and then the tenant moved out, and they just didn't want to rent it back out again. They'd rather sell it off as is and cash out on that property there. And this particular landlord or investor, they wanted to just purchase another property with the money and get rid of the current investment that they had. They wanted to sell it cash as soon as possible and get all of that done. And you can hear the whole call and all the follow-ups. So all 3 follow-ups, you can hear all of that inside of the program. So you can see how I walk all of the sellers, or how I walk the seller through the sales process to get that contract signed. All right. I'm actually gonna play the ending of this call too, so you can hear the contract being signed by the homeowner. Pull that up really quick.
I just signed it. It said apply, cancel, apply. Which one? I just signed it.
All right. So you can hear him saying he just signed.
Let me know once you sign it, so I could let you know if I get it on my end, and then I'll kind of just explain to you briefly the next steps moving forward here. All right. I just signed it. It said apply, cancel, apply. Which one? Let me see if I get it here. Hold on. Give me 1 second. Let me refresh my page. Yeah, I'm taking long, man. Let me see. Yeah, all right. Yes, sir. Did you click submit after you signed it there, David? No, that's what I was asking. Do I need to submit? Yeah. It should give you a prompt to submit it after you're done signing it, so you can send it over. Okay. It didn't pop up on my end there yet. Let me see. Okay.
All right. So just patiently waiting for the seller. Excuse me. Just patiently waiting for that seller to send over the agreement.
Do you see anywhere on the screen that pops to submit it, David? Yeah, it should be to you then. Got it. All right. Sometimes it takes a couple of minutes, so let me just keep refreshing my page here. All right, perfect, David. I got it on my end here. All right, so like I said, David, the next steps is just gonna have Jonathan.
All right. So that's this deal right here with David, getting that signed and executed. And right here you can see this is the signed contract for the seller right here. We got this property locked down at 60,000. You see the seller originally came in asking for 90. So we give him about 2/3 of what he wanted. Got about a 30% discount on that property right there. Spoke to the seller and solved his problem, took him through our sales process and got that locked down. And right here you can see the underwriting for the deal. The ARV was about 186 for this property right here. Minus repairs, minus closing costs, minus commissions, minus investor's profit, and get your sell at price, minus your assignment fee, and get your purchase price that you lock down the property for, or your MAO. And right here in the program, you can actually not only hear the calls for the sellers, but you can hear the Dispo, or you can see the Dispo process too. All right. And then for this particular deal right there, like I said, after we get the property under contract, then we swing it over to Dispo, and then Dispo then contacts the seller, does the intro call, and gets pictures of the property so that we can market the property out to cash buyers, right? And as you can see right here, with this particular property, we contracted it for 60, and our team got a $3,000 reduction on this deal right here. We marketed to a buyer for 85, and we got a buyer to pay us the most for the property that we could get was 71,500, and we took the deal, helped out the seller, and got the property closed up. And we made $14,500 on that property right there, on the deal that I signed. And from the contract signing date to the closing date that the deal closed escrow, this one was also about 1 month from start to finish, about 30 days from start to finish to getting this deal done right here. All right. And the contract price gets recorded to the public records. The assignment contract price does not. So just pro tip for you guys, FYI, the price that the buyer pays is not the price that gets recorded on public records. The price that the seller contracts the property with you as the wholesaler, that's the price. The original contract, that's the price of the property that gets shown on public records. All right. And with this one right here, this one was one that stung because, as you can see, the numbers right here, we sold this property right here to our buyer for 71, and they sold it a couple of months later, doing some renovations. This house wasn't in terrible shape, right? And they sold it a couple of months later for 186. So that just goes to show, if you take down some of these deals, and that's going to be one of the biggest adjustments that we're making this year, is we're actually going to be taking down a lot more deals, and doing a lot more hotels, and also implementing novation a lot more too, and also doing some subtails, purchasing properties subject to flipping the property and paying off the seller and paying off the mortgage and making a profit at the end with whatever is left. All right. So that's the breakdown for the second deal right there. And that's what it looks like. And our cash buyer for this one was a flipper, and he was able to renovate the property, touch it up, make everything look nice, and sell it on the market and make a nice return on the deal that we sold them right there. All right. And then the third deal that I want to go over with you guys today is going to be this deal right here with Yvonne in North Carolina. And just FYI, as you can see, all of these deals are being signed in different states, right? So this one right here is in North Carolina. This last one right here was in North Carolina. This one right here was in North Carolina. And then this one right here was in Virginia. So we're closing and buying these properties nationwide, 100% all virtually done, with using our lead generation, our acquisition, and our Dispo process to get all these things done. All right. All right. So this deal right here was Yvonne. So she was selling this house because she was relocating. The house that she was staying in at the moment, she could no longer afford the mortgage payments, and she was just ready to go and ready to move forward from that property there. All right. This was a very interesting lead. She was a more aggressive lady, but we was able to help her out and get everything done with her, overcame all of her objections, all of her concerns, and even after getting the contract signed, she still had a lot of issues, or had a lot of concerns after getting that contract done with us. So we had to, make sure that she stayed on board and make sure that we were taking care of her throughout that Dispo process. And this was an eye opener for us to add to our Dispo process, and just how important communication and giving the seller updates is. All right. So she wanted to close in 30 to 45 days and get that done. The condition of the property, it needed repairs, and she also needed to move from the house, right? And she came in asking for 200,000. She had one deed, but there was two properties. There was two houses on the property, and also additional storage building on that house or on that property right there too. So that's what she came in looking to get rid of everything. And I got on the phone with her after she submitted her information, and took her through my sales process, the same sales process that I take all of my sellers through. And in the program, you can hear all 4 calls. And I think I'll post some of these calls on my YouTube channel too. So you could go on the YouTube channel, Joe Snarty Pierre, and check those out. But for this call right here, let me play the signature signing part so you see, or you can hear the contract get executed live on the call. All right. Members come out there and just, assess the kind of work that we're going to have to do on the back end after we close. The thing will be communicated to you.
Contract.
Oh, so how did you see number 4? It's Bill, so there's nothing for you to worry about.
Okay.
Yeah, it's pretty straightforward to be honest. Some of my sellers they're kind of surprised sometimes how easy it is, but we do try to make this process as convenient as we can.
Okay, I signed it.
Yep. Okay. Sounds good. Sounds good. Congratulations for getting this done, Yvonne. It's a pleasure doing business with you. Just let me. You submitted that already, Yvonne?
Yeah, I already did.
All right. So you can hear right there, she signed the contract on the phone with me and submitted that, sent that over to me. All right. And then right here, you can see the contract. These are the two properties that were, or the two houses that were on the property. The purchase price right there. Bought everything for 146. The ARV was 270, and the repairs was about 45. So that's how we got to our numbers right there and our underwriting. All right. And on this deal right here, we made $27,496, and we were able to help her out, overcame all of her challenges and objections, not only through the sales process, but also through the dispo process, and was able to sell this property to a cash buyer and get that done for her. All right. And this is right here. This is proof. In real estate, all of the properties are public record, unless you're in a non-disclosure state. But if you're in a disclosure state, then all of this information is public record. That's how we're able to comp houses, is by seeing the what other buyers paid for the properties and what they're not paying for the properties, right? So you could look up all this information yourself and see that we're actually doing deals, and this is actually how we process real sellers and get these deals done right here. All right. And after getting that contract with her, then we swung it over to Dispo, same process, same systems. Basically figured out all the information that she needed. And we got the access from her to get pictures of the property. And after we got pictures of the property, then we put a package together and then we market the deal out to cash buyers. All right. So contracted for 146. And throughout the dispo process, this seller was going through a lot of things with her house and lights getting cut off and things of that nature. So she really wanted to close at 150. And in the program, you could also see all the dispo conversations that we had with her and her calling in constantly. But you can see that we just ended up giving her the 150 that she wanted. We had enough room on the property. And that's why we want to lock up these contracts very low, so that if we do need to give extra money or we need to renegotiate for whatever reason, we do have room, we have meat on the bone to be able to get those things done. All right. So we finalized with her with an addendum for 150, and we marketed the property at 185, and we ended up selling the property at $178,000 and closing with a cash buyer on that property right there. All right. And then we signed the deal, paid all the escrow fees. I think we had some extra fees that we had to pay off. So we ended up walking away with about $27,500 for this deal right here. And for this one right here, it took a little bit longer. So this deal closed in 1 month and a half from the date the contract was signed to the date that we got paid and everything closed escrow on the property right there. All right. And my team and I, we found and spoke to the end buyer. We had to overcome some roadblocks and acquisitions, like I mentioned, but Dispo was pretty smooth. Although the house was in worse shape than she described, we got everything that we needed to get done and signed the closing documents, closed escrow on the property, and we made a little bit over $27,000 on those houses right there. All right, and that's how my first 50K month of me calling these sellers, generating these contracts, and getting those things sold. It generated a bit over 50. We generated about $66,000 that month based off of my calls and the properties that I got under contract and we closed on. All right. So just wanted to record this video really quick just to break down what that looks like right there. And like I said, you guys have access to all of this information and all of the things in the program. All right. And we closed some more deals. This is a deal that I'm going to be posting on the YouTube channel right here. You can see a breakdown right here. The contract got signed, right? For how much? This was a really interesting call. Got a really big price drop on this deal right here, and I was able to get that done. All right. So, like I mentioned, moving forward right now, the main thing that we wanna change moving forward is, making a real effort to take down these properties We have access to capital now. We have hard money lenders, and private money lenders and partners that are able to fund these deals. So I'm actively looking to buy. If you run across this video and you have a deal, especially in the East Coast and the Northeast, anywhere in New Jersey, the North Carolinas, South Carolinas, Virginia, or anywhere along that coast, even all the way down to Florida, depending on the city. I'm a cash buyer and I'm willing to purchase those properties and getting those things done and getting you paid off. All right. So that's basically the process right there, and how it looks for us to get those deals done is super simple. Once you have the right systems and the right processes in place to be able to generate motivated leads, with their lead generation and marketing system, and then from there you have a proven sales process that you're able to take these sellers through, from when they come in all the way, to having that conversation with them. You have a script, you have questions you ask them, you know how to comp these properties, and you're able to make offers, handle all the objections, and then eventually get the contract signed or follow up and then get the contract signed and get an executed contract from the sellers so that you could market the property and either take it down, flip it, or, you know, wholesale the property to a cash buyer and get that done right there. All right. And I think that's pretty much it. So for all of these deals, it was a win-win for everybody involved. The seller got their cash. We got paid by providing value and helping them out. And then the cash buyers made their profits, after purchasing the property from us, renovating it and selling it on the MLS. They made their profits too. So everybody's good with that. All right. And then that's pretty much it right there. All right. So if you're a real estate investor or operator and you want us to install all these systems inside of your business, from the acquisition, from the ads to generate the leads, the website and the funnel to be able to get their information, we set up your CRM, all the automations to be able to capture these leads and send you notifications and text drip campaigns and everything that you need. And we'll give you all the tools, the templates, the systems for the sales process so that you can take the sellers through a proven sales process to get those contracts signed. And then from there, we install our Dispo process inside of your business to get pictures of the property, market the property, and be able to ultimately sell these houses to the highest and best buyer, to get these deals done. Help the sellers out, fulfill on our promises, make cash buyers happy, and in the end, we're happy too in the end. All right. So that'll be it for me today. I hope you have a blessed day, and bye bye for now.